Hello, Aquarius. Listen, I don't know. I don't know if I forgot to record your reading yesterday. I swear, I feel like I remember sitting here and saying, "Hi, Aquarius. This is your forecast for December." And I can't find it anywhere. So here I am re-recording it. Sorry that you were forgotten about. You're probably not used to that, right? JK, I'm allowed to make that joke because I have Aquarius placements and I'm constantly forgotten about. And you have Mercury going through your 12th house. So, you know what? You might be feeling a little bit lonely right now and you might be feeling like everybody's forgetting about me. But we're going to talk through it. On the first of the month, Mercury being the planet of communication, speaking, talking, writing, using your voice, self-expression. It's what you're thinking about, what you're getting ideas about, what you're talking about in the group chat, or maybe in this case, not in the group chat, but rather what you're thinking upstairs and coming up in that genius brain of yours. Because Mercury is really going to show us wherever there's some stimulation happening in the chart. There's movement, there's cerebral energy, our head is in this area. So to have it in the 12th house, it's very psychological, it's very spiritual, it's very meditative, it has a lot to do with your psychology. This makes me think of going to therapy, it makes me think of dabbling in some hallucinogenics, it makes me think of journaling, it makes me think of shadow work, it makes me think of getting onto medication, it makes me think of talking something out privately with a friend, it makes me think of going to church and going to reconciliation, repenting your sins. It has a very private, intense, mysterious, spiritual, cathartic, possibly even like ideas around grief energy to the way that you're communicating. 12th house is very private, it's very mystical. It's usually things that we can't see and touch in a tangible way. It's not things that we can necessarily hold in our hand or see in our physical world. But Mercury, again, being our ideas, things like that. You might be just having very strong intuition right now. You might be having prophetic dreams. You might be, again, journaling, having revelations, having spiritual awakenings, getting really tapped into your faith. It can also be, in some cases, like where you're diving into the deeper depths of your brain. So maybe you're remembering some traumatic things or having some old memories come back or even finding out secrets or pieces of information. There can certainly be a layer of secrecy or privacy here happening. It's also the house of blind spots and where we can maybe not be entirely aware of how we stand in our own way and self-sabotage. It's not called the house of self-undoing for no reason, but having Mercury here isn't a rare transit. You deal with it every single year. So possibly this time of year, about give or take a few weeks or months or so, is usually a time where you start to recluse a little bit and like have some privacy up here, or just like stop saying yes to plans for a few weeks. Maybe you're just like, I'm going to stay in, I want to chill out, I need to recharge. On the 3rd, Venus in your 9th house squared Pluto in your 12th house. So Venus was going through your 9th house more so through November. And this is really great for having ease and pleasure and joy and love and romance and things that just feel good. Going through your 9th house of education, faith, philosophy, spirituality. So it's probably likely that if you are having a spiritual or faithful time, it began with a positive experience and now you're going and thinking a little bit deeper into it. But before it left your 9th house, it had an intense square. So a moment of conflict, friction, intensity, the need to confront something, the need to make a change or a decision or take some action in regards to your 9th house and your 12th house. So Venus-Pluto aspects are usually going to add some intensity to the ideas of pleasure, of relationships, and of finances. In your case, it could be something with money overseas, with banking or moving or vacationing or like being in foreign land. It could have something to do with student loans or paying off education, courses, anything with teachers, with justice as well, so anything through the court system or legal system. But in most cases, this is probably something a little bit more esoteric and maybe not something, changing in your physical world. But again, having an intense moment between your faith, your beliefs, your personal philosophy on life and the way that it works, possibly even your opportunities, the ability to get outside of your comfort zone, especially when it comes to uncharted mental territory. So if you weren't literally traveling and exploring foreign territory in the real world, you could have kind of tapped into a new part of your brain where you're like, oh my God, I'm looking at things in a totally different way. And having that intense sort of player square to Pluto in your 12th house, which again is your psychology, it's your spirituality, it's everything that is kind of happening subconsciously, not self-consciously, maybe self-consciously, that's the 12th house as well. But I feel like there's probably something there where you tapped into like a little bit of a sensitive part in your brain and it changed the way that you're looking at things for better or for worse. On the 4th, Venus entered your 10th house. Absolutely beautiful. So the next day after that intense moment, Venus being a benefic, again, wanting to give you good things with grace, with pleasure, with ease, with joy, went through your 10th house, and it's still hanging out there right now. So the 10th house is your career, your public image, your reputation. I always say it's like the area of PR. It is very aligned with your career and your profession and your accomplishments and your goals, the things that people can publicly see that you're doing on like a larger level, where you're almost like establishing yourself as an authority or as an independent figure, something like a promotion, something with your boss, something with getting an incredible position at work. If it's not so aligned with your career, it can be something where you're standing up on your own 2 feet, and again, a way that people can see. So like posting that you just got engaged on social media, or succeeding in a major weight loss, being able to say, oh, I've been 1 year sober, and it's something that maybe people can see about you. But having Venus go through the 10th house, again, you go through this every single year, it's adding a sense of like, here, take it, joy, pleasure, celebration, acknowledgement, attention, appreciation to the most public area of your chart. So you might feel like you're on a little bit of a winning streak right now, or you're getting some positive attention, or everyone's just got their eyes on you, where you're getting congratulated, you're getting, publicly appreciated, you're getting acknowledged in a positive way. It's like if this was a PR thing, your face would be plastered on the magazines, probably for something good rather than something problematic. It could also be that relationships are more public. Maybe you are starting to like post the person that you're dating, or it's something that has kind of been like hard launched or something. On the 5th, Venus in your 10th house trying to Saturn in your 2nd house. So this is absolutely beautiful for things regarding, yes, your career, your public image, your reputation, the way that people are perceiving you, but also the 2nd house is money and finances and self-worth and personal values, things that are important to you, getting your basic needs met, access to basic resources, building wealth for yourself, building a stable, solid foundation. So there could have been something, again, like a promotion or something really working in your favor in regards to the connection between the way that you're carrying yourself in a way that people can see, or anything changing in your career and in your status, and that being supported by, or supporting as a symptom, your money, your assets, your resources, things that now belong to you, that are in your possession, both literally or metaphorically. On the 7th, Neptune is going to station direct in your 2nd house. So Saturn's going through your 2nd house as well as Neptune. Saturn is the planet of challenge, restriction, limitation, really things that we don't love doing. They're kind of harder and come with a little bit more challenge or strife, but they're necessary. They're things that like we know that we need to do. It's our responsibilities. It's the things where it's like, oh, I'm an adult and I have to do X, Y, and Z, even though I don't want to. I know that I have to in order to be mature and stable and have my shit together, for lack of a better word. So having that positive aspect on the 5th between Venus being pleasure and Saturn being responsibility, but the two supporting one another, is a sort of celebratory, hard work paying off energy. Saturn in the 2nd house by default can be a little bit challenging when it comes to finances. This is a much slower transit. It's going to be here for 3 years. It got here on March 7th of 2023. It's been retrograde all summer. Now it's direct again, and it'll leave your 2nd house into 2026. So there can be over the next few years a little bit more challenge or strife, or the need to kind of grow up, become more disciplined, become more mature, almost like, pull your big girl pants up in regards to your money, your self-worth, your possessions, getting things in your name, making sure you're secure and have that solid foundation. And you also have Neptune here, which is a very dreamy, spiritual, esoteric sort of planet. So this one's a little bit different. It's more elusive. It's beautiful. It's romantic. It's spiritual. It's imaginative. It's incredibly creative. It's intoxicating, but it's intoxicating so much at the expense that the things Neptune provides for us or shows us, or the way that we perceive Neptunian things, are so beautiful and are so alluring because they're slightly deceptive. It can be quite a manipulative planet, or just show us where we're romanticizing things and not seeing the whole truth of a situation. We don't get the bigger picture entirely. So it can blur our ability to see reality versus a, rose-colored glasses sort of perspective. Having it stationed direct, it's been retrograde since June 30th. So you might find that if there's been any sort of consistency in brain fog, lack of focus, the inability to execute, not seeing much progress or change, or even like a complete lack of boundaries in your budget or anything regarding to self-worth or finances, it's going to resume regularly scheduled programming now. So as it stations direct, you might have a wake-up call with, oh my God, I need to stop spending so much in this area. There might be something where you become aware of your retail therapy over the last few months and you're like, oh my God, I need to really organize this and add some more structure to it. There could be something with money coming in and out of places that are a little bit secretive or elusive, or again, lack of boundaries, or something that even came from loss or inheritance loss, death, grief, like wills, estates, trust funds, anything like that. That's going to be for a small amount of people, but I figured it's worth mentioning. But having it stationed direct, again, might kind of pull the band-aid off and be like, you need to face something here. There's something you need to see clearly. Even if you've lost money actually, or lost belongings, or there's been some sort of like discrepancies over, again, small amount of people, but like the evidence of proving what belongs to you and somebody else maybe taking that can become a little bit more clear now. On the 10th, Venus in your 10th house is going to be opposite Jupiter in your 4th house. This is a very much good luck day for everybody across the board because we're combining both benefics. Venus wants to give you good things and Jupiter wants to give you good things. Think of it as like a, it makes me think of Cosmo and Wanda, like these two little fairies where Venus wants to give you the beautiful, indulgent, feel-good things, and Jupiter wants to give you the opportunities and the growth and the perspective and all of that sort of expansion. Having the two work together, even in a tough aspect, can be quite beneficial. The only thing I would say is when it's in its worst condition, which would be, I would say, in opposition, it can look like doing too much because there's a need for balance between the two. It can look like overspending, overeating, overindulging, functioning in excess, overpromising, being overly optimistic. But in this case, I think it's something that is going to be supportive for you more than it's going to be problematic, and you're having it between both the most private and the most public areas of your chart. So home, family, foundation, living situation, your private life, and then your career, your accomplishments, your goals, your status, your reputation, etc. The two look, incredible, and those are the most, it's on angular areas of your chart. So this is going to hit you pretty strong, but it's a great aspect to have hit you very hard. On the 12th, there's going to be a new moon in your 11th house. So this is a new chapter starting, a new beginning, a new cycle starting, the conception of the next 2 weeks over the next 6 months, fully culminating of something beginning in your 11th house, which is friends, associates, very big dreams, very big manifestations, the people that you surround yourself with, people that support you. This is like your acquaintances at work, it's your professional network, it's your social media following, it is any sort of subscriber, fan, follower, friends that just support you, over what, like an overwhelming amount of clients or sales pouring into you. Having a new moon here is great for really chalking up a new vision board or new goals. I like that this is happening for you right at the end or in the middle of December because it's a great time to do like New Year's resolutions. It could be a new beginning in regards to like a group, an organization, or a community that you start to belong to, or like a board of directors or a political party or some sort of like leadership or anything like that, where you start to align yourself with a particular demographic that maybe shares like a shared vision or way of thinking. Again, good for friendships, good for really big dreams and manifestation, like speaking to the right people that get you to where you need to go to get the accomplishment of your big dreams, basically how your network can be beneficial to you. On the 13th, Mercury is going to station retrograde in your 12th house. So Mercury first entered your 12th house on the 1st of the month. So that brought the attention of like cerebral energy, again, where your mind is at, thinking, ideas, conversations, into the more private, esoteric, mystical, psychological areas of the chart. Having a Mercury retrograde in the 12th house is now going to take all of those things that you were first initially thinking of and putting it into reconsideration. So it's not to say that, things are going to go backwards or that you're going to undo some of the things that you were thinking or something like that, but rather that you might be looking at things in a new way, changing your perspective. If there was something like a secret revealed or something like that, it might double back where you get more information. There might be something where your perspective, your understanding, your intuition, anything like that sort of changes to a degree. Again, it could be things with like foreign travel. It could be things with psychology, with mental health, with therapy, with medication, with thoughts that you're having, with really just any sort of general conclusion that's going on in here. Also things regarding like privacy, being alone, loneliness, solitude, mental health. I think we already said that. Anything like that. On the 17th, the sun in your 11th house is going to square Neptune in your 2nd house. So you really want to trust your gut when it comes to the overlap of the people that you're associating with on a larger level. Again, your groups, communities, networks that you're a part of, and then your 2nd house of personal self-worth, finances, and things that belong to you. So if it's more literal, this could be something having to do with your assets or resources and how that does or doesn't or affects for the better or for the worse the people that you're surrounded by. If you're surrounded by people that make a lot of money, this can boost your ability to make more money of your own because you're around influential people who know what they're doing. This can also be something where if it's more metaphorical, you have to reflect on the people that you surround yourself with or how big you're thinking in your goals and how that's a reflection of your self-worth and what you think you're capable of based off of your own skills, your own value, what you deem the value to be of certain friendships, of yourself, and what is worth giving to others versus what you expect back in terms of support from them. I would just say trust your gut a little bit because Sun square Neptune in general across the board is usually a little bit deceptive. It can be a day where there's a little bit of extra trickery in the air. So like somebody just trying to pull one over on you, pull the wool over your eyes. Just think of like a salesman. It doesn't have to be the most malicious thing in the world. I guess in terms of friendships, there could be something with a secret or something financially not being entirely accurate or clear. Be careful with spending money and be careful with the way that you are selling something, whether that be literally through money and sales or the way that you are saying something will go or the way that you're promising something will be, and maybe that not matching up accurately. In general, I would just tread lightly that day, but anything with friendships and like your own boundaries and your own standards within relationships and the people that you surround yourself with, just stick to your guns. On the 17th, a sun in the 11th house is going to square Neptune I just said that. On the 22nd, the sun enters your 12th house. So we already have Mercury here. That's kind of doing the work in terms of the mental energy. And now the sun coming here is going to boost the sense of attention. So it's going to take the spotlight, the warmth, the egoic energy, the sense of authority, creative energy, just an extra sort of spotlight that's going to come into your 12th house and kind of make it one of the main character areas of the chart for you for the month. So again, dream, psyche, intuition, mental health, addictions, escapism, vices, secrets, mental health, psychology, illness as well, solitude, loneliness, all of that, intuition. On the 23rd, Mercury retrograde is going to go from your 12th house back into your 11th house. So for some people, this is the thing. It's oh my God, I can't speak today. It's retracing its steps beginning in your 11th house and now beginning in your 12th house and then going back to your 11th house. So what this means is that whatever reconsideration or I'm thinking about this differently now, details are changing in regards to your 12th house is happening, has something to do with your 11th house, and you need to go back to your 11th house and revisit it to pick up something you dropped on the way or to see something a little bit clearly that you did not see clearly before, to get more information in order to move forward more efficiently into that 12th house again. So the 12th house being secrets, things that are unclear, your blind spot, self-sabotage, not necessarily seeing how you're playing into something like your own role or participation in something, being unclear on the truth, and then going back to the 11th house of the people that you surround yourself with, particularly your friendships and social media. There might be something where you're starting to connect the dots a little bit. Maybe there's something where you're like, this makes sense now that I'm finding this out. And it's something that can come via a friendship. It's something that you might read online. It's something that might be on social media. I don't want to pump paranoia into people. I really don't like tarot readers and astrologers who are like, oh, somebody has it out for you. Somebody has a secret about you, things like that. So I wouldn't try to run it into the ground of it being something malicious. But it might have something to do with friends and secrets, absolutely. On the other side of things, I would say it could be illnesses or symptoms and maybe being unclear on those things, or it can just be, in some cases, you really want these big dreams to happen. And the 12th house is you really learning how to manifest. And maybe you're going back to like your old ways of law of attraction, manifestation, learning things online, following the journaling exercises, like doing all these things that you see, all these methods in order to sort of alchemize the things that you want and bring them to fruition by starting up here. On the 25th, this is another really good luck day. This is Christmas, and Venus is going to be in your 10th house still of career in a very positive aspect to Neptune in your 3rd house. So Neptune and Venus working hand in hand together, this is a very dreamy, fantasy-like sort of energy. I think that this is really good for... I'm sorry, it's not happening between your 3rd house. I was going to say, that's why I started talking a little bit slower. I was doing the math in my head. It's going to be trining your 2nd house. So this is actually, I would say, more beneficial in terms of money and finances if that's what you're focusing on, because this is showing a lot of supreme harmony between, again, your public image, your reputation, your career, your money, your accomplishments, and that being in support of your money, your basic needs, your basic resources, your solid foundation, etc. I think you're having some really great, I just think you're on a winning streak. I feel like Aquarius risings this month, you're seeing many good things kind of come to fruition in your 10th house, and it's supporting your money. Or it's the reverse, where maybe you're not having the most happiest of results this month, but you are reflecting, I'm not putting up with this. This is what I expect. These are my standards. I'm putting my self-love and my self-respect into the decisions I'm making. And it's setting you up for a better future in terms of, again, building that solid foundation. It's for some people, I think you're editing the decisions that you're making based off of knowing your value. And then for other people, I think that have been putting a lot of value into efforts into things, you're seeing the fruits of your labor. You're seeing the results of that. On the 27th, there's going to be a full moon in Cancer in your 6th house. And this is a good example of this. So a full moon is an ending, a full circle moment, a closing of a chapter. In the same way, new moon is a new beginning. This is usually an ending. It doesn't have to be super bad. It doesn't have to be super dramatic every single time. I would say sometimes a full moon in Cancer can be a slightly dramatic because it's in a water sign, meaning it's emotional, has a lot to do with intuition and things of the depth that, come to the light and kind of show the truth. It's also a cardinal sign though, and it likes to go. It likes to make progress and initiate things. So with this ending probably comes a new beginning right after it in the same area of the chart. And this is in your 6th house of work, health, routine, lifestyle, efforts. This is co-workers, the labor of what is required into your job or your occupation or your position. It is your health, your lifestyle, what time you wake up, the food that you eat, things like that. So having a full moon here can be so many different things. It can be leaving a job. It can be quitting a job. It can be leaving a position but going up in your career. It can be a full circle moment with a work project. So if you're not necessarily leaving, it can just be seeing the culmination of something that you were working on, of your efforts paying off. It can be that you started working out on July 17th when the new moon in Cancer happened, and now you're seeing the results of your weight loss since dedicating yourself to that journey. It can be that you, anything with lifestyle changes, again with pets as well, with just day-to-day mundane sort of things in your lifestyle that your lifestyle requires to be who you are, and just seeing a tying up of loose ends in that area of the chart. The reason I laughed is because, again, with the money and the career stuff happening, I think some people are upgrading and they're leaving one area to move up to a new area, like a promotion, and their money is being boosted with that. For other people, I think they're I'm not putting up with this shit anymore. And they're leaving their job and then needing to focus on okay, how do I build a solid foundation that's actually going to be worth the effort? On the 27th, so the same day, Chiron is going to station direct in your 3rd house of speaking, talking, writing, using your voice, siblings, transportation, and your everyday life as well. So there's things changing in your everyday life, things that are typically mundane, glossed over, involuntary, the coffee shop you go to every morning, the place that you or whatever, the books that you read, again, the podcasts you listen to, your everyday routines, the things that you talk about in your group chat, the relationship with your siblings, the, coffee shop that you drive to every morning, the car that you drive, things like that look like they're going to be shifting a little bit. And that doesn't have to mean anything bad. It just looks like there's a tension on those areas of the chart. So there might be lifestyle changes or new habits being implicated in that. Again, can be hand in hand with New Year's resolutions as it's going to unravel into the new year. Chiron is the planet, or I'm sorry, it's not a planet, it's an asteroid having to do with sensitivities, wounds, traumas, triggers, where there can be a sense of unresolved emotions or pain. And this is going to be, again, in your 3rd house of communication and siblings and things like that. So same thing as Neptune. It's a very slow moving celestial being. So it's something that maybe you won't have slap you in the face on that day that you feel it happen. It's usually more of like an undercurrent thing that you can see, maybe zooming out and looking at the bigger picture. But this is going to be a callback to July 23rd as well. I'm sorry, if you want to know why I'm being so weird, I just got out of therapy and I did like a very intense EMDR session, and I feel like it's making my brain literally not connect with my mouth right now. But that's going to be a callback to July as well. So any changes happening again in your everyday life, routines, friendships, work, anything like that, that's maybe been consistently seeing a certain pattern since the middle towards the end of July of this year is now coming full circle. Chiron being sensitivities and wounds and stuff like that, there might be things around communication issues, around issues with siblings, around issues with best friends, around things that like your ability to be productive and to just feel like you have a good routine in place in your everyday life, car issues as well. And those will start to resume regularly scheduled programming, whether that means that you made progress over the last 6 months or you paused the last 6 months in progress, or that you had to acknowledge some sort of pain or sensitivity. Now you can move forward more productively. On the 28th, this is the day that I keep telling everybody is really the loud and wrong day, where you just got to watch your mouth, because I think this is something that will affect you more with, again, like finances or money or friendships or groups or communities or what you're posting on social media, because Mercury is still going to be retrograde in your 11th house. So it's already not functioning entirely too smoothly because it's in a little bit of a position that it doesn't love. It's not operating as smoothly as it typically would. So communication's already a little bit screwy with it being retrograde. It's also in Sag. Sag can sort of tell a white lie, stretch the truth, exaggerate, blow things out of proportion, be impulsive, be out of pocket, be cutthroat, say I'm not being mean, I'm being honest, like have that sort of way of communicating. And then it's also going to be square Neptune, and Neptune again blurs the vision, it softens the edges, it can blur our ability to see things clearly. It gives us rose-colored lenses. We're romanticizing things. We're not seeing the full picture. We are falling for a fantasy. And it's also going to be conjunct Mars, which is the planet of defending ourselves, passionately fighting after something, hitting the ground running, initiating something, screaming at somebody, going off on somebody, sleeping with somebody, finishing an incredible workout. Like it has this rage, it has this fire, it has this rolling ball of momentum with it. To mix that with so much miscommunication, I keep saying I feel like people are going to be so relentlessly fighting over something that isn't even true, or it's like passionately defending your case for something that wasn't even an issue to begin with, or like there's just people screaming, and it's like screaming at a wall because everyone's not seeing eye to eye because the vision that you're sharing isn't even accurate to begin with. Basically, I think it's something that we'll see more so politically and in the news with miscommunication and misinformation and things not adding up on paper, but it can absolutely be happening in your personal life as well. On the 29th, Venus is entering your 11th house, so it's leaving its grace of giving you pleasure and joy and attention and appreciation in your career sector, and now it's moving to that social sector of your 11th house of groups, communities, and associating. So there might even be something too where through all the chaos and miscommunication, a solution is found, or at least laying it all on the table, even if it's in a messy way. Because with you having a little bit of wonky energy going through that social area of the chart, having to do with big dreams, with big manifestations, your friendships, your groups, your communities, the people that you feel you surround yourself with, anything like that, you having Venus now enter it is easing it. It's kind of saying like, shh, and soothing the wound a little bit. So I think if that area of your chart is kind of up in arms this month, by the end of the month, you're getting a little bit of ease to it. So I would just, again, try to watch the drama rather than be the center of it. And then on the 31st, on New Year's, the very end of the year, Jupiter is going to station direct in your 4th house of home, family, living situation, and property. So Jupiter going through your 4th house, it's been here since May 2023. It'll be here till May 2024. This is bringing a lot of opportunity and growth and abundance to your home, your family, your living situation, your roots. Jupiter going through the 4th house, it's going to be different for everybody. Can look like having an abundance of getting your first home, taking out a mortgage, getting close with your family, having a spiritual awakening, looking inward, maybe doing like a lot of spiritual, like esoteric work with yourself. For other people, it's going to be really different depending on what's going on in your chart, but typically Jupiter wants to give you good, beneficial, opportunist things. For other people, it might be that you're getting a larger perspective on your roots and on your ancestry. You're learning more. You're getting more in touch with your faith. Maybe you're in a more private time in your life, or overindulging, functioning in excess a little bit. But there's something where you have an opportunity, whether you're taking it or not, to build on more fertile ground, to grow something here. The reason this is important, a little bit extra important on this day, just because it's stationing direct, it's going to be stationing direct at 5 degrees, which was the same degree that we had the full moon lunar eclipse on October 28th. So right around Halloween of this year, you actually closed something in your home, family, living situation, property, roots, ancestry, private life, etc. So I want you to think back to late 2021, November, December 2021. There was a major new beginning, whether it was like, on that day in November or something, but just around that area of your life that grew over the last 2 years. You opened a 2-year cycle to your home, family, living situation, private life, all of that. That cycle closed on October 28th. That was the final lunar eclipse and ending, a full moon. That was the ending to what began back in late 2021. So we're in this little container, but that full moon lunar eclipse being at 5 degrees and then Jupiter being growth and abundance, stationing direct at that same degree, is basically, I keep saying to everybody, this baton pass of like, whatever you had to let go of there is now being replaced and replenished with something far more abundant, so much better, that gives you so much more opportunity to grow and to expand. So this could have been something like, maybe you moved out of your childhood home and it was very hard to deal with, and you started talking about moving in late 2021 and you had to say that final goodbye this fall and it's just been breaking your heart. Now you might find that you get into a home where you're like, this is everything that I've ever wanted. It could be something else where maybe your whole life you've been misunderstood in your family, or your like your ancestry, your generational curses, things like that, where you just had a lot of family drama, and maybe around late November 2021 you started going to therapy about it and you're like, I just want to understand what this means for me, what it says about me, and you closed out that cycle. And now this new beginning is like, you have this year where you have Jupiter going through your 4th house and you're like, let me start really talking to everybody in my family, and you get all this information and learn all these things that broaden your perspective into who you are at the core based off of where you come from. I think sometimes when it comes to the 4th house and Jupiter, people talk so much about these tangible things. Oh, it's money, it's this, it's that. It is. I know that when I have Jupiter transits, granted, I'm a day chart, so Jupiter is actually supposed to be my most benefic planet. It hasn't always been easy. It's granted, there's other transits happening at the same time, but Jupiter in my life has always been very, Jupiter rules my 2nd house of income and my 5th house of love, sex, and romance. And I don't always find that it's connected to those two things, but I have it natally in my 4th house. And when it went through my 4th house, I actually had the toughest time of my life in regards to home, family, living situation, property. Literally could not have been worse. It was a hellscape. Saturn was also going through there. So that is important to add that context. But what I did go through during that same time was such a mind-boggling, mind-altering experience of learning so many things about my family and where I come from and who I am and how I am an extension of that, for better or for worse. But it gave me the education and the knowledge that was necessary in order to break cycles and move forward and build a stronger foundation for myself. So if you're listening to this and you're like, girl, I am not in a good living situation, or my family cycles have not been worse, try to see what it's teaching you rather than why am I not getting those Jupiter gifts yet? You see what I'm saying? But in some cases, I think for other people, it will be a really great financial breakthrough, getting your own home, investing in real estate, things like that as well. So I hope that this helped you. If you have any questions, please let me know. I think you're going to have a good month. Again, there's a lot of focus on things that are actually very intuitive and spiritual. I think you're having a lot of spiritual or education related things going on. I don't think it's black and white going back to school education. I think it has more to do with your intuition and your psychology, your career. It looks like there's a lot of success with accomplishing something, and that in regards to your finances, who you're surrounding yourself with. And at the end of the year, it looks like things start to, around New Year's, work itself out socially as well as your living situation and things like that. So I would love to hear what you're going through. If you feel comfortable sharing, I hope you have an amazing end of the year. If you want to book a personal reading, you can do so at kmoney.biz. I will leave everything that you need in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.